You've come to the right place, traveler.
Hey lads, welcome back to the channel. Cursedboy here with another build guide for last Epoch. I know it has been a little while, few weeks in fact, but we have been back into the game, of course, after a small break. And since Season 3 is very close to it, I would like to present you with a couple of very nice build guides that I also believe that they're not gonna be touched, they're not gonna be nerfed, maybe even buffed, hopefully. But yeah, in the next season, so there are gonna be some nice builds to have in mind for the next season for your end game endeavors. This is Crit Devouring Orb Voidknight. Yes, it is actually Crit Devouring Orb, no time roll, damage over time or anything like that. It is also using a staff, so no shield, no block, but everything is very smooth on this build. It is actually my absolute favorite build in this season so far, after, I don't know, probably over 15 different kinds of build that we have played for Season 2. And yeah, I absolutely love this build. It's a very nice, fast-paced farmer. It's pretty much a walking simulator. You wanna call it an auto bomber, you wanna call it whatever, but yeah, I absolutely love the build. It's also one of the best build I've done this season so far to deal with champions. It's all about champions and rares this season in particular, but generally speaking, that's where last Epoch is heading. So you want your builds to be able to kill champions very easily, and with this build, that's very much what's happening in every kind of situation, even at higher corruption. I've been speed farming 700 plus corruption with this build, no problems at all. We are fairly tanky because of the Voidknight passive tree and a lot of other things that we have on our gear. And of course, we're gonna be talking about all of that in detail. So yeah, let me know if you play the build, how you feel about it, how do you like it, and of course, drop the comments below if you have any questions. As always, I am trying to answer all of your questions. You can always visit me on my streams as well for the same reason. And of course, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content. Season 3 is in a couple of weeks, and I have a lot more videos that are going to be coming on the channel in the next few weeks. And of course, league starter guides and things like that. I will see you in a little bit in game to explain the build and the concept behind it and everything else. Alright, let's talk a little bit about the build and how it works and everything else. So, for the build, the concept is very simple. Basically, a Burst Aras makes your Devouring Orb auto-cast while you're moving, and it's not on cooldown, of course. So, we're just moving around, our Devouring Orbs are being cast automatically around us. They can echo, as you can see here on display, and you're getting your Devouring Orbs around you. Now, those also have collision damage from Cosmic Impact, a lot of flat damage on the collision, and 200% more collision damage as well, a massive more multiplier here, and a few other things, of course, in the tree, but these are the main things that, you know, Devouring Orb orbits around you, auto-cast, and has impact damage. This is what we want to be critting and giving us a lot of damage in the build. Alright, the playstyle is very simple. You just keep your anomaly up. We have very good uptime on the bubble. We're gonna see exactly what that provides us, and of course on your single target, on champions and stuff like that, you just cast in Abyssal Echoes. We are speccing Abyssal Echoes for some straight armor. It also has a decent amount of damage. It's not as massive as the Devouring Orb by any means, but on packs, because we don't have a lot of reach, right? We have good clear, but not a lot of reach. Some small packs are sitting, you know, in an area that you don't want to run into. You just cast your Abyssal Echoes. It's casting a lot of times, as you can see. It repeats itself, so you're getting a lot of hits. You will clear those small monsters, no problem. Other than that, on your playstyle, you just don't want to stop moving at any time. You just keep going, and you're circling around your bosses and your champions, etc. Cast your Abyssal Echoes. We're also getting nice more multiplier from the Nether Coating as well. Cast speed doesn't matter on the build. You just move around, and yeah, that's why it's a walking simulator. you want to call it an auto bomber, that's up to you. You can do that if you want. As you see, we are going over 1 million crits on the boss damage here. So our damage very, very nice. Even on a single target, it's not so bad at all. I pushed very, very easily. I never had any issues with Orobis and stuff like that. Our tankiness, as you see, we have a very good amount of armor, and our resistances are just perfect. One of the things that we are stacking is, of course, vitality, and I'm gonna explain everything on the planner in just a couple of minutes. How do we cap our crit, exactly what you need to build this character and have a lot of fun. The last skill here that I'm gonna talk about a little bit is Healing Hands. I'm using Healing Hands as the traversal because of the immunity frames, and also because it heals us a fair amount when we need it, and it gives us a little bit of defense against specialized enemies from those up here, but the uptime on that is not very high, so I'm not even counting that part very much myself. It is a very nice traversal skill. I really like it. You can of course use, if you want, you can use Lance, but Lance is not very good. You could spec Sildras and spec it so that you don't need Sil, but I don't think that it's any better than Heal Hands. I absolutely love it. One other reason why I love Heal Hands is because you can rush through the enemies, and this is very, very nice because you can get a lot of as you can see, like my screen floods with yellow numbers, and that's because all of the orbs, or most of the orbs, are hitting your enemies. You can have, depending on your echoes, around 5 or 6 orbs around you sometimes, but usually you have like 3 or 4, right? But when you have even 4 of them, and you just rushing through a champion, he's suddenly taking so much damage that you almost insta-kill him, or you just stun-lock him to death. Alright, let's get into the planner and talk about all the details about the gear and everything else. Alright, let's get into the planner and see exactly what we have. Now, the reason I'm excited is because I can actually provide you with a very nice build for Omnividence stuff. This is one of my, let's say, dream builds for the Voidknight. I wanted to have a caster build with Voidknight with this particular item for a long time. I've tried to theory craft it a whole bunch of times. I always failed. It was basically pretty much not possible for a lot of reasons. We couldn't get enough damage, we couldn't get enough defenses, not enough crit because there was no a lot of crit support, pretty much anything on the Sentinel and the Voidknight in particular. So now that we got a lot of things like that in the rework, we can make it happen, and I am absolutely happy that I can provide you with this. So on the Sentinel, we just go through very typical things: maximum strength and resistances, and here the vitality, and we're getting the less damage taken from nearby enemies. We are pretty much a pseudo melee build, right? So this will be applied to everything that we are attacking as well. So if we can attack them and they attack us, we are gonna have that minus 10% less damage taken. On the Paladin, we want to get into the Symbols of Hope, so we are taking 5 points on Defiance. This doesn't do a lot of us, but the Endurance Threshold, it is very nice because we do have a fair amount of elemental, all elemental resistances, so we do get a nice amount of Endurance Threshold. And we are using the Brewmaster Buckle belt, so when we are pressing our potions, we can also increase our endurance threshold even higher. As I said, this is a staff build, no block and stuff like that, so your endurance is a very big part of your defense. 5 points on the Valor here. Pretty much we are traveling, but flat life and endurance, of course, very nice. And I want to get blind here, blind chance, and the blind duration from the threshold. Very good, because again, we are pseudo melee build, so anything that we attack can attack us back. That means that we are also blind them very easily with 35% chance, and we don't need to care about crit reduction or anything like that. Now, of course, because I am me, I do have 1 tier 7 critical reduction here. That's for a few reasons. First of all, it's a lot of flat armor, so that we want that flat armor. We don't get any, from shield or anything like that, and we are using Titan Heart, which has a very low amount of flat armor on the implicit. Same with prismatic gaze, etc. All of our gear is pretty much unique. We don't get a lot of flat armor, so this is very important. And also, you know, archers and other kinds of monsters, they have higher range than us, so we'll get a little bit of attack. I honestly don't think I've died from crits almost at all, I think, with this build, even though I pretty much have dozens upon dozens of hours of farming. So yeah, the setup is very, very strong. Now, let's talk about the Voidknight passive tree. We need to make some consensus on the Void passive tree. I've talked about this tree, it's fantastic. If I could invest 150 points here, I would gladly do so. Now, Abyssal Endurance, we want the less damage multiplier taken for the Void and the physical, of course, but also it's, you know, flat life and some extra resistances. Flat damage here for the Void damage. We're taking 5 points here, of course. We're getting increased critical strike chance. That will be very important in just a little bit. And critical strike multiplier per point spent in the Voidknight. So we are getting another 77% crit multi out of everything. Increased life, of course. I want the more armor threshold. I wasn't using that when I started the build, but I found it a little bit more necessary. It is very nice, of course. It gives us not just the more armor threshold, but a little bit of flat life and extra strength, so even more armor. Now, we want to max out the temporal velocity for the cooldown recovery speed, of course, right? And we want 5 points here for the frailty and the slow chance. And the void penetration, we are doing crit void damage in general, so that's what we want. You deal more void damage, of course, on this node, 10%, and also damage taken from slowed enemies and from time rotting enemies, less damage taken. That is, we had slow from here and we are getting time rot from here on the 4-point threshold. On skill echo, so yeah, we do have a little bit of time rot chance as well. We are grabbing this for the 10% echo chance also, plus this one. I was thinking about taking Time Legion, but it's a lot of points. As I said before, we need to make some concessions here, so I'm just not taking that. We are having 20% echo chance here, and of course the basic 10% that we have from the Voidknight. 30% is more than enough on the build. Now, the Void Essence here for the Void Well is not really necessary. I thought at the beginning it would be. I do still have it on the build because early on while you're gearing up, you might have a couple of mana issues. If you have those issues, I never had them, but if you do have them, because we are creating Void Essence from our Devouring Orb anyway, you will have them for the Void Well, so you will be getting 30% of your maximum mana pool back. And if you want to boost that, you can also take the blessing from the Ending the Storms timeline for the flat mana, so that you can generate more mana. As I said, I never had mana issues. The only time that your mana is going a little bit low is when you are at a long boss fight and you're just spamming Abyssal Echoes over and over again on cooldown. But even then, it's just not very easy to run out of mana on the build. Now, but keep in mind though that the Void Essence, of course, right, it does give us 3% more Void damage per stack. This stacks up to 3 times, so this is another more damage multiplier on the build. Of course, we're gonna take Eternal Form, Vitality, increased life, and extra health per Vitality, which is fantastic. We are scaling Vitality for a lot of reasons. One of them is this one. 5 points here to travel for the extra echo chance. This is the flat crit that we so desperately needed for this build to work, and of course fluctuation, abyssal fluctuation, 20% less void damage taken, and 50% of the elemental damage taken is coming as a void as well. Very, very nice, huge, massive defensive layer out of this node, and the void and physical less damage taken here, the less damage taken from singular purpose, and of course we are using Titan Heart, as I said, so we are taking 15% less damage taken because we are using a 200 melee weapon, and we have a red ring, so another 10% less damage taken. Now let's talk about the crit real quick, because I want to be very clear. You want 455% increased critical strike chance for spells on your build. We get 4% flat spell crit on the on the grasp of the blood mains. You want to have 4% roll on the spell crit on this one, alright? And also another defensive layer, 20 to 25% of hit damage taken from boss and rares is dealt over 4 seconds, so we can actually leech over it very, very easily, alright? And we are using prismatic gaze as well, so we are getting another 4% flat crit here. Same deal, you want 4% on the roll on the prismatic gaze, the most important part. It is also give us another less elemental damage taken multiplier, alright? So that's the flat crit, so we have 8% here. As I said, from the passive we are getting another 5 and another 5 from the base, so we have 18% flat crit for Devouring Orb. We don't have any crit on the Devouring Orb skill tree itself, which is what always made this build very difficult to build, but with 455% increased crit, you will actually get enough, you get crit capped. You're getting 99.9% crit. Okay, one of the many reasons why this is also possible, it is because we have those new idols that we are actually using, and these give us 30% critical strike chance on the prefix, a little bit of crit multi as well, but by using 3 of them, we're getting 90% increased critical strike chance. Here we are getting a little bit here, another 50%, and we are also getting, if you check out the buffs here, from the symbols of hope, so we have another 80% crit, right? So yeah, we want spell crit on our amulet, tier 5 with good roll will do. We've done the math with the setup that I'm giving you here. You will be actually crit capped. We've done the math on stream the other day. All right, let's check out the skills real quick so that you know what's going on. As I said before, Dark Moon, Abyssal Rush, Cosmic Impact is the linchpin of the build. We want 5 points here for the more damage multipliers. Now, Void added is another reason why we are stuck in Vitality. So, Vitality gives us flat Void spell damage for the Devouring Orb, and of course this counts for the Collision hit damage. It also gives us plus more hit points as Vitality does, but because we are a Voidknight, it gives us 8 hit points per Vitality instead of 6, and Void Added gives us another 10% global more Void damage and 10% mana regen. That's not insane, which doubles if you have 90 Vitality. So the magic number is 90 Vitality here. The Void Essence here, I have it at 100%, but you can maybe even play with a couple of less points, maybe make it 3 out of 4 and invest 1 more on the Void Penetration. You know I love quality of life, you know I love very, very smooth builds and never worry about anything. We are automating everything on this build, so my damage is already very, very nice, so I was like, you know what, we're gonna keep that like that. Now, the star here, Silent Star node, is giving us a 50% chance for of the cooldown of the Devouring Orb to basically be cycled very, very much, very fast, and mana cost. So yeah, you only consume, so your Devouring Orb has a short cooldown already. With this, you have 32% chance for 50% of that cooldown to be faster. So it's just a lot of Devouring Orbs. This is why I said sometimes you have, you know, 3 to 4 orbs out, but you get into 5 to 6. This is because of the echoes and also because of the Abyssal Rush. If you trigger this a couple of times in a row, you might even see 7 or 8 orbs at some point. That's very rare, but you will see it. Now, the last very important note here that I want to talk about is Hollow Orb. This shuts down the Void Rifts, so it makes our clear a little bit worse, but it gives us 40% duration, right? Because the Dark Moon cuts down the duration, we do want that. I played without Hollow Orb. It at early corruption, low corruption is very, very nice, but when you are starting to push in corruption, the extra duration makes you having more orbs out, and that's very important for your single target in general, but more importantly, so that you can kill your champions very, very fast. You can play without it if you want and take an extra 10% Void Penetration here if you want it, but I would suggest you you test it, and I definitely suggest this one. I felt a lot better about the build once I took it. Alright, Abyssal Echoes, pretty standard here. When you're casting Abyssal Echoes, you are getting this buff, the Nether Coating. The attack speed doesn't matter, but you get 20% more damage vs blinded enemies. As I said, we already getting a lot of blind chance from the passive tree, so this will be up all the times, 20% more damage multiplier globally. For our creative armor. Other than that, we are getting the abyssal rifts on target location and the extra cast, of course. That's why when you're casting abyssal echo, it pops a whole bunch of times, and if it echoes, you are doubling all of that. We are getting armor thread stacks here, and I do like the more damage multipliers. Those are not very much necessary. If you don't like them, you can put more armor thread stacks here, and not just converting into damage, into hit, excuse me, because as I said, some packs that you know, they're gonna be nuking you, some archers, some little scarabs and stuff like that, you just cast abyssal echoes on top of them from afar. You will get the buffs for the more damage multiplier for Devouring, and you also will clear them with this kind of setup. Anomaly, very standard things. I always take immediacy because I don't wanna deal with things going back and forth in time. But other than that, we are taking the bubble. This also gives us void restaurant stacks on the bubble. And of course, we are getting the duration here, and the thing that makes it to cast on you. That's why we have the bubble around us. Attack and cast speed for the build, we don't care. We do care maximizing this one. This gives us 30% cooldown recovery rate, and we also get 150% increased critical strike chance. This is another thing that makes us able to crit cap on the build fairly easy, as I explained. 455%, that's the magic number. Alright, and other than that, I do like 1% leads here and the 100% here. Make sure that you have all of those points. You can take one less point here on the duration and put it on the extra leads if you see that you're lacking a little bit of leads until you hit your damage. With 4 points here because of the cooldown recovery rate that we have on the build, and with the swift rest here, you are actually always have 100% uptime on the bubble. You just need to cast it a little bit more often. Alright, symbols of hope, very simple. Simple setup here. We are grabbing the fourth symbol here, and we want to grab all the increased damage and the crit, as I said earlier. We are grabbing this flat damage here, and we convert all of that into void damage. We are converting the flat and the increased percent that the symbols have by themselves, and also the increased percent damage that we are getting from here. So the symbols of hope in general is a very nice increased percent damage buff. Now, the last 3 points are pretty much free. If you want mana regen, take a little bit mana regen. This is not a lot. I'm not really counting on it, but I do like the extra endurance threshold for reasons that I've already talked on the passive tree. Healing Hands, as I said, this is my skill, this is my traversal skill. This is a little bit flexible. You can even try, you know, the new volatile reversal if you wish to do so. I'm not a huge fan. I don't think many people are on the volatile reversal right now. So, very standard setup. We just make it so that it's costing 0. We are getting all the extra heals. We are getting the less damage multipliers from those nodes up there. And we are making it so that it's traversal, it has cooldown, we have decent cooldown recovery rate from our passive and from our anomaly bubble, and we are getting the immunity frames. That's about it. Alright, let's talk about the gear a little bit more in depth. Now, Omnividence, you want 1 LP here. This is a rare item, but you can definitely farm a whole bunch of them. I've done it on Circle of Fortune. This character of mine is on Circle of Fortune. The gear was actually very easy to get on this character. I thought it would be a little bit more complicated because of some rare things that we have in the build, but no. In Circle of Fortune was very straightforward to actually get this gear. So 1 LP here, increased void damage. If you get a secondary, 2 LP on your item, you want to get either void penetration or spell damage as your secondary slabs, right? Now, Keep in mind, this rolls 200 to 300% increased void spell damage on the last affix. That's the roll that you want to maximize as much as possible. The void cast speed doesn't matter, etc, etc. The flat spell damage on the implicit, of course, it's good, but if the increased void damage is very, very important. We have a lot of more multipliers, a few of them at least, but we want as much as increased as possible. This is why we are slamming tier 7 increased void damage on our cards here, and as secondary I'm also taking some health. We cannot slam vitality, but this is a very, very good ring. You want vitality and all attributes to be maximum, so +6/+6 or +5/+6, something like that. You want 11 or 12 vitality out of this ring, and of course the extra strength gives us more armor, the increased armor, etc, etc, and it also grants us swiftness. We don't care about evade rolling on this build because it's just running around in circles anyway, so you don't care about evade roll. Red Ring of Atlaria. If you don't have a red ring, don't worry about it that much. Just grab a second currency of the momentum and slap it on. Like, you're gonna get extra vitality, extra health, extra damage, and etc, etc. And you might need to slam 1 or 2 resistances to help yourselves because you are losing the red ring. But other than that, you can cover it with the idols as well a little bit. But yeah, it's not a big deal. Once you get it, do try to slap on a nice red ring here. It gives all attributes, a little bit of extra movement speed, which is very nice, and another 10% less damage taken. It is a very, very nice, well-rounded item for the build. If you get 1 LP red ring, you can slam hit points, tier 7 flat health, or you can slam, like I did, tier 7 increased void damage. It's a very nice place to get an extra increased percent damage. We talked about prismatic gains for our flat crit here. Tier 7 level, of Devouring Orb is what you need here. The +4 levels are very, very much needed for the skill tree that I've showed you. And of course, we are getting extra void damage. If you have a 2 LP prismatic gains by any means, try to get either vitality or increased percent life. This is basically the true for every piece of equipment. If you have more LP, you try to get vitality or life if it's possible. Alright, Titan Heart, tier 7 increased void damage and void spell damage flat. This is the hybrid that you want as your tier 7. As I said, vitality or increased life. I have tier 5 increased life on mine as the secondary suffix. I did not hit the vitality, but the perfect base to slam any Titan Heart is tier 7 void damage, spell damage, vitality, increased life, flat life. That's the perfect base if you have guaranteed the tier 7 because of how Jura works, and any of the other 3 affixes you get, you are super, super happy. Alright. Grasp of the Blood Mates, again, this gives us a little bit of defense and a flat spell crit. Make sure that you get the 4% flat spell crit. Also, you're getting an increased cooldown cover rate on the implicit, which is rare. So if you get a little bit of extra here, like if you have a maximum roll of 10-12%, that's gonna be very nice. You want tier 7 chance to apply shred armor on hit. For this one, that's very, very important. We don't have access to a lot of shred except our Abyssal Echoes, so I'm going with tier 7 here. If you get it to close to maximum roll on this, as you can see, it's 200%, so you will be getting 2 shreds per hit, which is very good. And our Abyssal Echoes, as you saw earlier, it's bouncing around a lot of times. You will get your shred no matter what. If you have a 2 LP one, which is very easy to get, let's be honest here, you get hybrid life, or flat life. Try to slam hybrid life, it's gonna be very nice. Don't worry about the hit points on the average here. You're gonna have over 4,000 hit points very easily, and everything that I've done with 4,000 hit points on this build. I just finally hit my slam, my 2 LP slam on the Brewmaster Buckle after a lot of misses, and I got this exact item. So the Brewmaster Buckle, you want maximum vitality on the roll and maximum endurance, or close to maximum endurance, right? So that you can do. The vitality is definitely very, very important though. Flat armor on the implicit, try to get a little bit of at least above average there. Tier 7 crit reduction, as I said earlier, you want good rolls on that one, almost maximum, and just try to get tier 5 increased life, tier 5 hybrid, etc. Now, Food of the Mountain, very important. Tier 7 increased movement speed, that's what you need. Good rolls on this item are very important, especially for the all attributes. Now, the minus mana cost, we don't care. We never stop running, so we never get the stacks. So we don't care about the minus mana cost on this item. It's basically because of the all attributes. We want to hit that 90 vitality. It is not that easy to hit, which is a little bit crazy because, you know, we are a Voidknight. We have vitality access, stuff like that. But yeah, it's not that easy to hit and you want a good amount of it for your damage. So this is why I choose Food of the Mountain. It is by any means, it's not necessary to use this item. You can use faster boots, but I do very much like it because with those two items, we are basically capping our endurance for free. So we don't have to worry about it. As I said earlier, endurance and endurance threshold, very, very, very important, right? I'm hitting like over 2000 endurance threshold with 1 or 2 potions, and that's very, very strong for our damage deduction and all of the other less damage taken that we have on the build. Now, Code of Erased, we do like this one. It gives us damage over time mitigation. It's one of the very few things that gives us a damage over time mitigation. Our less damage multipliers are usually generic, so damage over time, even though it's still a little bit dangerous, we mitigate it a little bit more from this one and everything is Gucci. You want tier 7 crit multi or tier 7 void damage on this relic. If you get both, you are in a fantastic spot. When it comes to suffixes, any kind of resistances or most likely life is the best one. You can farm them very, very easily with imprints. Now, Pearls of the Swine, any pearls will do. We don't care about, you know, the extra curses that they change with the colors and stuff like that. Any pearls out of this amulet will do exactly the same, right? We just need as much as possible on the vitality and the all attributes here, and the all resistance is very, very nice as well, along with the implicit resistance, because physical and especially necrotic resistance is very, very nice for the build. Excuse me, not necrotic resistance, physical resistance. Necrotic resistance we don't care because we are getting 1% out of its vitality, so we are having a necrotic and poison resistance to spare anyway. So very good, it gives us up to 17 vitality, so it's a very nice amulet for this build. You can go for a Nihilist alternatively, but you're gonna lose a lot of vitality and I don't see why would you do that. So tier 7 crit multi on this puppy and tier 5 spell crit. This is actually one item that you want with 2 LP because both of those implicits are very, very important for your damage. 2 LP is not very hard to hit on those. It's a very common amulet. As I said, we don't care about which color, and if you get plentiful of 1 LP pearls, you just go into the turtle on the Hoover Neko and on the far side turtle and just slam all of them there. You will get 2 LP very, very easily. Alright, that's it about the gear. And let's talk about idols, because we have some very, very powerful idols for this build here that are also some of the hardest one to farm. So this build, this is one of the reasons why this build is so strong right now. It's these idols. We can get the new Humble Weaver idols with vitality and flat spell damage and a little bit of increased spell damage. Now, these are fairly hard to farm if you want maximum rolls. Prioritize the vitality, I would say, but if you have you know, a maximum roll of spell damage and increased spell damage, definitely use those as well. There are a few other things that you can get. For example, void penetration of the prefix is not bad. You can also get stun chance on the prefix here, this thing over here. So increased stun duration and a lot of increased stun chance. Because we do have high hits on this build, you will be stunning, you will be stun locking some champions as well, along with the blessing for stun chance. So it is very, very nice. I'm actually using one of those prefixes, and as long as you hit 95 vitality, 90 plus vitality in general, you are good to go after that, right? So yeah, don't disregard stun. It's actually very, very nice. The three ones that I talked about already. We want the crit multi. When it comes to the suffixes here, not a lot of useful things, but just elemental resistances. So you can get cold, fire, or line. We don't care about the frailty like we do on other builds, because we have frailty from our passive tree, because Voidknight passive tree is absolutely fantastic. Now, a couple of minors here with the armor and health are very nice, but you can also get more damage if you don't care about that with the small weaver idols, because those give us increased critical strike chance and void penetration. So if you have maximum roll on those, you can maybe take out one of those idols and use two small weaver idols. You will get 30% increased crit and an extra 6% void penetration. So you can min-max those eventually if you have your resistances covered from a high roll, pearls, and a maximum roll, Red Ring of Atlaria, right? Okay, when it comes to the blessings, really quickly, we're gonna go into the crit multi. Early on, if you don't have all the gear required, you can also get the increased critical strike chance to cap your crit, or even void damage. We have plenty of good things here. You can also get leads if you need, spell leads, or life. The crit multi is by far the best, of course, as an endgame one. All resistances from Reign of Dragons, flat armor, increased armor, pretty much standard things, and stun chance. As I said earlier, you can get the maximum mana here as well if you have any mana issues for the Void Dances and the Void Well to restore you more. Alright, I think that's it. We have a couple of more build guides that I'm gonna be posting in the next few days. I created a new Plasma build that I would very much like to present to you, because I had a blast with it. And of course, again, Season 3 is coming very, very soon, and we're gonna have plenty of content in the channel. I will catch you all in the next one. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye bye.